Hi guys, James here from Meatster. Thanks for joining me again for another video. Yep, it's the USDA Prime Striploin that you've seen me use on the channel quite a lot, and I've just got hold of a new piece. This is 5.2 kilograms. Now I've got some plans for this, but the first thing I have to do is prepare it. So I'm just going to open up this bag. It's probably going to be a little bit messy, so I'm going to get some kitchen paper in preparation for drying off all this blood. So if you're not used to buying sort of a larger piece of beef at home, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking the first time or two, as I found myself, because you know, these are large, expensive cuts that you don't want to ruin. But really, once you've done it a couple of times, it's not that difficult and you can make a great saving. All right, here we go. We've got this beautiful piece of striploin. You can see how well that is marbled. Absolutely awesome. I'm dripping blood now on the floor. Let me just clean that up. You've got to be willing to get your hands a little bit dirty, I think. Now, one thing I've learned for sure when you're cutting steak is it's not as easy as it looks. So the first time I ever did this, I got a sort of scissoring effect as I would try and cut like this, and you end up with jagged pieces. Now, I am by no means an expert. I'm not a butcher. I haven't done this 10,000 times. So I'm still going to be practicing, but you want a long, big, sharp knife. That's going to enable you to make as few cuts as possible, which I think is a key part of this process. Now, in terms of for what I want to age, I would think that this much should be enough to start with. I think I've got the best end of the sirloin. At this end, it looks really marbled. It's a nice shape. It's going to be easy to make that into really good looking cuts. So let's cut this off. There we go. Just to show you what I mean in terms of size of knife, when I first cut one of these up, I thought that my large-ish global chef's knife, which I used to think was so big, was good enough to do the job, but it's pretty much the same size as the piece of meat, so it takes a lot of cutting. You can see now what the difference in size is, and that's a pretty key thing if you want to be doing this often, making it easy for yourself and sort of presenting these steaks to people. But so let me just get a plate. We'll put this to one side. I just like to keep my work sort of station as tidy. Yeah, try not to do that. I just like to keep my workstation as tidy as possible. I like to clean the blood off frequently as I go. There's nothing pleasant about having lots of blood dripping all over you, let's be honest. I think something along the lines of an inch or so thick is a good starting point. Just get through the fat layer first, make it smooth. You want to cut smoothly. There we go. So I've got through the fat, and I'm trying to make smooth cuts. You also want to try and keep your cat away from this raw beef. That's not so easy. Okay. Here we go. So you can see this incredible incredibly marbled piece of beef right here. I can tell you from experience, that is actually a really good and high level of marbling which you expect from USDA Prime. And this might be the nicest one that I've had actually. You want that great cap here, which when cooked properly, really bastes the meat and also can be edible. I'm still yet to get the perfect fat round here. I want to figure out how they do it in restaurants where I've been able to eat this really easily. But here we go. Let's just weigh that one and see what we got. I'm going to guess, is that 350 to 400? 350 on the dot. Now I need to get rid of this cat. Just give me 1 second. Come on, buddy. Off you get, please. Come on. Thank you. Keep going. Off you get. Excellent. So 350 is what? 3/4 of a pound. So it's probably around 12 ounces, let's say, which is a nice size for a steak. So let's just keep going in that vein. The fewer cuts, the better. This knife is sharp, but it could actually do with a little sort of sharpening. Once you actually get down to the main muscle, it's a pretty easy slice there. Okay, we're bordering on insanity now with that, but that looks pretty good. So that's got to be hopefully over 500 now. 550. So again, when I vacuum pack these, and I'm not going to show you through that whole process because it can get a bit boring for you, I will actually label with the, I've got a little label machine now that I freeze so many steaks, and I'll just put the rough weight on there. Let's go back to a few more normal sized ones. I don't know what the size difference in the US on average is compared to here, but I think in the UK the steaks that people eat at home are probably a lot smaller than this. They're probably around 200 grams, I would have thought, which is still, according to our government guidelines, is bordering on unhealthy. But I don't eat steak every day, only once a week. So you can see here that I've done a really poor bit of cutting. Hopefully you can see this. This is got like scissoring happened here. So you can see that the face is not flat and perfect and lovely. Unfortunately that happens. I'm not a pro. Cool, that's about 385. It won't matter once it's cooked, and part of me even wonders that the more surface area like that, the more caramelization you might even get, who knows. But it's a lesson just to keep as smooth as you can, not to rush. Okay, that's a bit better again. I think it just takes patience. You really don't want to rush it. 430 grams there, and then at the end there'll be a smaller one coming up here, which is not a bad thing. Not easy to cut this last one. I think this old blade, being that it is so old and it's so thick, probably doesn't keep its sharpness for as long as these modern blades. That is an antique French chef's knife. It's probably a couple of 100 years old, whereas this global one is nice and sharp, and it can go through these bits here at the top more easily, in fact, and then hopefully I can carry this knife through the rest of it. Here we go. There we go. All right, so we've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beautiful steaks between 350 and 500 grams. And if we had carried on, we'd have got another 1, 2, 4 very good sized steaks out of that. So for me, that is actually relatively good value for money if you want the best steak at home you can get. So I am just going to vacuum pack these, label them, freeze them for another time, except I will pick one out for today. I'm really not trying to bore you here, but it's the necessary process if you want to have great steak at home and keep it all fresh and, you know, pack it properly. So I'll see you